All right. Welcome back, everyone. We are in the league group stage intramurals, and we got a little best of one action going on today between Los Pollos Hermanos and D4C. Yeah, hello. Sorry, just working out technical difficulties. Are we good now? Okay. All right, welcome back to the League of Legends group stage intramurals. Today we got a little bit of a best of one going on between Los Pollos Hermanos and the Heartstuck Diamond and his four carriers. Here with me, I have Wanwi.
Hey everyone, it's my first time on stream. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for bringing me on, Sarah Soon.
Yeah, of course. It's always a pleasure to be casting with you people. I want to be honest, I'm a little bit rusty as well, but we will see how this goes.
I'm excited. From what I understand, this is round 4 of the group stage with D4C and LPH looking to take a top 3 position in the intramural group stage. What do you see ahead, Sarah Soon? What are you looking forward to in this match?
I'm going to be honest, I don't really have many expectations. I was looking through the past matches, the op.ggs of the players here, and I'm thinking, just a lot of solid picks here. I think the last time I was casting, almost every single game was a mage in the bot lane, right? You got your like Ziggs, Victor shenanigans going on. So hopefully I will see some marksmen this time.
And I hope we see lots of fighting because I want to cast an exciting game. I know you do, and I know everyone at home wants to watch an exciting game above all else. I'm excited.
Yes, indeed. I'm excited as well. And first off, we're just going to go ahead and introduce the team, starting off with the Hardstuck Diamond and his four carriers. And here we go, the 5 players of D4C. In the top lane, we got Typhon. On jungle, Had Rain. Baker's Child in the mid lane. We'll see if he lives up to his name there. A Flock of Papers on ADC. And Nuzzles Wuzzles for support. Now we can go ahead and introduce the team that they are playing against, Los Pollos Hermanos. Once again, just going from the top, we have 00126061 in the top lane, DMK on the jungle, Lucian's in Paris in the mid lane, Angel Boy on ADC, and Ionian Tempest on support.
Looks like we've got a exciting cast of players here today, Sarah Soon. Are there any picks or bans that we expect to see as we get
Picks
underway?
or bans? That's a good question. I'm seeing that that Typhon is just playing a lot of these strong top lane fighters, Ambessa, Gwen, Jax. And so I think they're going to be trying to take a lot of duels in the top lane today. But in terms of picks or bans, I'm not entirely sure what to expect. I don't know if you have any opinions on that.
Well, I was also going through a couple of the OPGGs. It looks like 1261's most played this season is Rumble. So maybe we're looking at a Rumble versus Ambessa top lane. It's a volatile matchup. Who knows what can happen? I think that top lane is going to be such a driving force in this upcoming game.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, especially since the famous top lane island. But when these tanks and these fighters, these brawlers can get ahead and snowball, that's really where the game can be decided. But let's not jump to any conclusions here, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get very soon underway into the draft. It's going to be, again, a best of one. So it's really up to how these players can play and adapt on the fly. You don't get that one game's worth of buffer to feel out your opponent, figure out what's going on between the teams. No, it's pure League of Legends, one game. It's the best stakes possible.
That's true. We don't know what kind of scouting these teams have been doing into each other, but especially you're not able to adapt from game to game, right? See what was the problem in the first game, whether or not we need to ban that, whether or not we need to pick that away from the enemy team. It's really just a one and done. And this is the struggle of the best of one format. It's very volatile, is the thing.
And for me, I wonder if we see any crazy picks. I mean, sure, we could have, like you were mentioning before, that's very solid and best in the top lane from Typhon. But for example, maybe we see something a little bit wackier come out. Maybe we see, for example, like you're mentioning, 280 carries. I know you mentioned that mage bot lanes were all the jam coming in. And look at that right there. D4C first pick the Ashe. Was this kind of in your expectations, Sarasoon?
Not necessarily. I don't really think that ADCs tend to be first picked there. Usually I would go for something like a support pick, but I honestly like an ADC and B1 because then it forces, R1, R2 to respond to that pick. And being able to really adapt like that in the draft is so important. And here we go. We're looking at the Sivir here. The Sivir picked into the Ashe.
So it looks like both teams are prioritizing the bot lane, and you're getting what you want, Sarah, soon. We're getting marksman v marksman. It's truly the bot lane classic.
Yeah, just some good old League of Legends here. No shenanigans.
Yeah, and potentially we'll see. Followed up maybe with a support, get that bot lane through, finish that in R1, R2. And look at that right there. The Lulu pick. Sivir, Lulu. Strong scaling bot lane. They say the 400 CS Sivir wins you the game. It's going to only be more true with that Lulu being picked.
Yeah, honestly, really solid here. Just going with the late game, incredibly scaling ADC and just the Enchanter to keep them alive to be able to scale that far. Like they're going to see Ashe as a support lane and Wukong. I believe that's going to be a Wukong jungle.
It looks like we've got the Wukong 4 DMK. It's a strong level 6 spiking champion. And there we go. We also have the Seraphine coming out, so it's looking like it's going to be a Seraphine Ashe bot lane versus the Sivir Lulu. What do you think is going to come up with that bot lane?
Yeah, I think I like the Seraphine pick here. Seraphine Ashe obviously has a lot of range, being able to sort of keep the enemies at bay, especially being able to counter engage on any ganks that occur. So I'm thinking about that first and foremost. But on the other hand, we have in a team fight situation, Wukong ult, Ashe ult, Seraphine ult, very, very explosive, a lot of combo potential there that we don't necessarily see from the other side. And as I'm saying that, the Sylas pick goes down, trying to make use of these very valuable ultimates.
Yeah, it's just like you said. With D4C, it's really about these ultimates engaging. The Wukong, like you mentioned, the ER, the Ashe R from range, the Seraphine R, Charming 5 on LPH. Looks like LPH can just do the exact same thing back with the Sylas pick. You're exactly right.
Yeah, looking at the bans coming in for the second half, Cassante.
Yeah, I anticipate, again, Sante, super rock solid in the top lane, going to be able to, front tank for these carries, these volatile carries in the team fights. And it looks like LPH is trying to deny that. Very easy back to front team fight from DFC.
Right, and they're responding with the Yasuo ban and the Ambessa ban in response again. What we were talking about, that Ambessa pick is really, really strong. And they're just shutting it down to begin with. Don't want any of that. So we're seeing this is a sort of best of one mentality, right? We're just banning the things that the enemy players play the most that we've seen on their OPGGs, because we don't really have time to see whether or not we can play into it. We don't have that 1 game, 2 game room to see how can we adapt. So better to ban it off right on the fly.
You could tell that D4C did their homework. I mean, banning that Ambessa, Typhon's most played that's over a 50% win, over almost 250 games on the Mbessa. It's by far Typhon's most played. He's going to have to pick something other than that, because Mbessa Casante's most two played. He's going to go off. He's going to have to deviate from comfort a little bit, pick something he hasn't played as much this season. How do you think how do you think that affects somebody's mentality going into such a volatile game like this one?
Well, honestly, I'm thinking that they're almost expecting the Mbessa ban in this case. I can imagine in that voice chat, there's no way that they're going to let me play Mbessa in this game. So I think even going into it, they were already expecting to have to pull out, the second pick, the third pick, even now that Casante's banned as well, Mundo banned. Honestly, 3 top laners banned is quite significant in this situation. Investing a lot of resources in those bans to shut down this one player when maybe we might have needed to look other places, but we'll see how that plays out. And here we go, locked in Jax in the top lane.
Jax for 1261. And that kind of rounds out such a beautiful team fighting comp here for D4C. You got that Galio ult, that AoE taunting gauge. And that's kind of the name of the game for D4C. You have that Wukong E into R combo, the Ashe R from range, the Seraphine R. Looks like it's just such a good team fighting comp. At least that's the way it looks in comparison to LPH for me.
Yeah, and we're really seeing that here, right? Whereas Los Pollos Hermanos have a lot of dueling champions that thrive in the 1v1. That's Silas with that burst potential, Fiora as a literal duelist. And on the other hand, we have, Jax who can have some dueling. We might see some action in the top lane. But other than that, there's such a strong team fighting comp. A lot of, champions that like to dive in and then get bailed out by Galio with tons of follow-up from the entire team at range. So we're really seeing if they can sort of handle themselves in the laning phase before transitioning towards a mid game where they're taking a lot of team fights, taking a lot of skirmishes at those neutral objectives. We're looking at Dragon, we're looking at, Rift Herald, and seeing how they're able to convert that into a strong lead if they're able to.
And so that means right the opposite for Los Pollos Hermanos. I really want to draw attention to the Silas Jarvan mid jungle duo, such a strong skirmishing duo, especially even in the early levels. I mean, I think it's the number one thing to look out for Los Pollos Hermanos in this upcoming game. Keep an eye, see where the Silas moves and how the Silas moves with the Jarvan. Contesting that first dragon, contesting that second dragon, contesting the grubs. It's going to be exciting to watch the first 15, 20 minutes with these two.
Yeah, I mean, do we want to place any bets on where first blood will happen?
Well, to me, I've got my eye on this Jarvan the Fourth. It's my most personal played champion. I've got an impartial bias towards him. And, it's that strong early ganking potential, that strong early skirmishing potential, especially with the Silas following you around. I think it's pretty clear cut. Jarvan the Fourth should be taking first blood in this match.
All right, I like where your head is at. I'm thinking we might see an early fight in the top lane, and one of those 2 top laners will be taking first blood, but we'll see how it plays out.
So yeah, such a volatile matchup up there in the top lane between 1261 and Typhon. That's Fiora into Jax. It's a classic, almost LPL type matchup. I mean, what more do you want from your top laners? As a spectator, even as a player of the game, I mean, it's just so exciting to see. Don't you think, Sarasone?
Honestly, I'm ready for the excitement. I'm ready to see some fighting. And like I keep saying, ready to see some good old League of Legends. And I think the draft is finished and we are just loading in to the match now. And we'll see.
And right on cue, Sarasone. Here we go. On to the Rift. Round 4 of... we're just about to get round 4 underway of the UFT Esports loading. It's going to be an exciting one. I'm excited for sure, Sarasone.
Yeah, you and I both.
We're getting a quick look at the masteries here. I mean, just an indication of the level of maybe comfort on these champions. The one thing I want to highlight here, 2 locked masteries for the mid 2 locked masteries there with for 1261 on the Lulu actually, and Baker's Child on the Galio. Do you think this is an indication of maybe lower amount of comfort, or how do you interpret this, Sarasone?
I mean, I don't imagine that anyone would be actually first picking a champ when the stakes are, stakes are running high. So I think maybe we got some new accounts that people are just playing on, or I don't really know what the situation is.
Yeah, but 225,000 mastery to that lock mastery in the mid lane. Looks like Typhon also might be on comfort. I know that's one thing we were talking about before, but you can tell he's definitely not out of his speed.
Yeah, but honestly, I think if there's one champ that is okay to first pick, I think it's Galio. As long as the fundamentals are there, as long as you're a strong player, Galio is not too technical of a character when it comes down to it. And the same goes for Lulu down there for red side. Honestly, I think Lulu, it's about the support fundamentals, being able to position well, being able to, keep track of your health and the enemies and all that in a team fight. And I think, I
And
think it would work.
And here we go, finally breaking onto the rift for round 4 of the UFT League of Legends Intramurals. Both teams looking to stake their claim, take top 3 in the Poro group. Looking out, breaking onto the rift. What do we see?
Well, what do we see? Good old League of Legends looking at this 5-point setup here from both teams meeting up at this bot side river.
Nobody
No
wanting
one's
to.
going to engage, just warding off an invade.
It's looking like a pretty calm start. You see the Jarvan the 4 DMK dropping that ward in the river, trying to scout it for any potential, pushes in from that Wukong to the Raptors. Wukong fast at clearing, could snipe those away. Looks like just two very standard, two very defensive positions. Oh, and as I say that, looks like D4C is posturing aggressively. Faker shall place an award on that Raptor is going to scout out DMK as he goes for that first clear.
Yeah, that early vision is so important for being able to track the enemy jungler there, being able to see, where the gank's going to come from, when are they going to happen in order to ward those off, literally, as with the ward. And as you mentioned, Jarvan 4 in that early game with that gank potential, level 2, level 3, just being able to move so far so quickly, get that knock up, be very dangerous. But now we see DMK starting over on the blue buff. And
Looks
they
like
have that information because the Raptors has been warded.
Looks like he maybe wants to play for this super volatile top matchup, the one that you were referring to before, Sarasoon. Jax into Fiora. Again, brawler v brawler. There's going to be blood. And look, already trading a bit. Ionian Tempest kind of queuing in aggressively. Typhon trading back. Looks like they're handshaking just a little bit. Down to the bot lane. Looks like a very sort of calm start. With Los Poros Hermanos taking control of that middle brush. You see that ward. It's so powerful to have that vision there for your level 2, your level 3 trading patterns, especially in the bot lane with these two semi-enchantresses. Those traits are just so important.
And right as we say that, Typhon getting the level advantage right in the early game and able to push Ionian Tempest under their own turret, having to farm under turret and miss some CS for it while warding that river all the same. They know that DMK started on the bot side and therefore have to place that early ward in order to be able to track it, especially since the ward at the Raptors is now worn off.
Yeah, but you expect D4C is fully aware that DMK's probably made his way up to the top side by now. Wasn't spotted on the ward at the beginning, hasn't been spotted yet. Means that he started on that blue side and he's moving his way up, looking to pressure the Jax. And Typhon a little bit pushed up here. I wonder if we're going to see any action. Both junglers pathing topside. I'm excited for something big to happen. And exciting something's happening in the mid lane. Both mid laners down to a quarter of HP, trading aggressively. Again, this is the kind of skirmishing, the early skirmishing I want to see from, the Silas, even in the two brawlers in the top lane. Here we go. And Lucian's in Paris picks up first blood, solo killing the Galio.
Well, it looks like we were both wrong with our bet. And first blood goes to the Silas. Lucian's in Paris in the mid lane. As we might get our top lane skirmish anyways, J4 and Wukong both on the move here. Ionian Tempest.
Yeah, Wukong geese forward. Ionian Tempest maybe looking to disengage just a little bit and retreat back to his Jarvan the 4th. But looks like we're not going to get anything too crazy here. Here we got a little bit again trading in the bot lane. Seraphine down to half HP, but they have the push. It's that kind of push and pull. Looks like again we're posturing in this top river. It's really just these aggressive posture from both of these teams. Looks like DMK is going to give up that top scuttle, maybe run to the bottom one, but we will see. We will see where he's going. Looks like DMK is going to be running to that bot side, looking to probably take that bottom crab.
Yeah, and earlier we saw some really nice macro topside from D4C where they knew that DMK was pathing upwards. So Typhon pushed the wave into the turret and let it bounce back towards him by the time that they would get there. And here DMK, a little bit of a skirmish on the bot side river.
Here it comes, yeah. And DMK autoing down. Oh my gosh, wow. Ionian Tempest also simultaneously solo killing Typhon in the top lane, and Hadrain having to retreat back. Both junglers handshaking the crabs, DMK with the bot side, and Hadrain with the top side. We can see here also the bot lanes looking for that first reset. Flock of Papers, Hamsop low. The D4C bot lane getting that clean reset off after crashing the wave. Got a little bit of trading back in the mid lane. Faker's Child getting that knockup, getting that taunt, and getting a little bit of the best of Lucians and Paris in that trade.
And Typhon, I believe we saw teleported back to the top lane after falling, and is going to set up another push into the turret of Ionian Tempest, getting more trades. Ionian Tempest looking really low, but I don't think is in any immediate danger of dying as long as they just, sit back and farm, soak up XP a little bit.
And I want to talk a little bit about that teleport advantage. Ionian Tempest with the teleport, Typhon having used it to get that wave advantage, to get a little bit of that push advantage. Ionian Tempest can sit back, know that if things get shaky, all he's got to do is, take a quick base, fix the wave just a little bit, and he can teleport and get right back in the action. Here we see both teams, Los Pollos Hermanos posturing top lane for that first Drake. It's something what we were talking about before in the draft. This Jarvan the Fourth, super early game, wants to, posture aggressively for these first dragons, for these first grubs. And looks like D4C is not really going to contest. Again, a little bit of trading the mid lane. Hadrain comes from behind. He's going to, and this should be maybe an easy pickup. But Lucians and Paris retreats. D4C backs off just a little bit. Take a look. I just want to keep your eyes on this Sylas. He's super low. And here comes Faker's Child. He flashes in, taunts up the Sylas, but he's still 1 HP. DMK is going down, and that's going to be a 2-for-0 for D4C. And that's not really what you want to see from your mid jungle now, is it?
Not at all. Los Pollos Hermanos thought they had secured the dragon, and they did, being able to zone off that bot side, but little did they know the mid laner of Sylas, Lucians and Paris, was in a bit of trouble getting chased, and a pincer maneuver executed by Hadrain and Faker's Child there. We saw that Lucians and Paris tried to activate the Galio ult with Sylas, but was taunted away from it from the flash taunt by Faker's Child. And looking back at the top lane here, a bit of a tough situation.
A bit of tough situation for Ionian Tempest. You're talking about trouble. Ionian Tempest might be in a little bit of trouble, down to less than a quarter of HP. Typhon posturing aggressively, getting that plate, and looking, oh my gosh! Typhon baits out the Fiora parry, gets the counter strike, and successfully dives. But down here on the bot lane, here comes Angel Boy, fully stacked, and Jarvan the Fourth gets that first kill. DMK putting himself on the board and blowing all 4 sums from the D4C bot lane.
Yeah, trying to take a little bit of that lead back from the bot side. Ashe was, 2-0 with even CS with Sivir, but now Ashe is going 2-1, and DMK claiming that shutdown, especially early on that J4, trying to get a bit more kills and trying to snowball his lead, getting the gold onto some of the carries is definitely the game plan now.
Yeah, and again, looks like both mid and top are being pushed in for D4C, and Hadrain starts up the grubs. You can see DMK down to the bot lane. Not really concerned, just clearing his grump a little bit. Looks like Ionian Tempest, though, is going to come down, try to scare Hadrain off the grubs just a little bit. Doesn't want to give them up too easily by some time for the Jarvan the Fourth to come up topside and contest these grubs. You can see Ionian Tempest even wanting to push in a little bit further. He's there in the topside jungle, trying to push Hadrain off of this blue buff.
Yeah, but doesn't quite get the reset on the blue buff and has to back off because Typhon has just pushed in the entire wave into the turret. Now Ionian Tempest has to go back and catch it, freeing up Typhon and Hadrain, and alongside Hansaplu in order to get those grubs that they were trying to do before.
And here comes DMK. We maybe going to see a little bit of action in the mid lane. Faker's Child having just blown his Justice punch, but looks like they both back off. DMK posturing upwards, looking to maybe contest these grubs, but two of them are down already. And says, backs off a little bit. And the grubs go over to D4C. And looks like they've just traded objectives. That first Drake for those first grubs.
And looking at the gold in this game, it looks very even right now. So depending on when that next dragon comes up or how that fight goes, we might see a bit of an action, a bit of a swing in terms of the gold and which team's ahead. Ionian Tempest looking low healthy yet again. Seems to be a trend in this game where Typhon pushing them into their turret yet again.
And here we go again. Remember what happened last time? Last time Ionian Tempest was low under turret like this. He got dove in. Looks like the Galio. Here comes the Galio ult. Knocking up both DMK and Ionian Tempest, but Typhon's actually the one to go down. Faker's Child falling low, streams lagging a little bit, and looks like Los Pollos Hermanos come out with a clean 3-for-0. That's not the dive you want to see if you're D4C.
No, definitely not. And that Fiora holding that parry for the Galio taunt to be able to stun them under the tower, combined with the knock-up and then the box from J4, trapping them under that turret, taking so much damage, especially in the early game, being unable to escape from that.
And here
and now all of a sudden Los Pollos Hermanos up 6 kills to 3 and up a clean 1,000 gold.
All right, and now the name of the game is kind of just posturing. This is the lead we were talking about before in draft that Los Pollos Hermanos wanted to get. Skirmish around your mid jungle. You see there, 5 out of the 6 kills coming from DMK and Lucians in Paris. That Silas and the Jarvan duo, just so strong in the early game. Even though maybe that first dragon fight didn't quite go your way. Here we go. We're seeing a little bit of trading in the mid lane. DMK posturing slightly aggressively. Just Q's backs off, says, I want none of that. So threatening to dive the Galio.
Exactly. Now the problem for Los Pollos Hermanos is whether or not they're going to be able to keep this Ashe down, who seems all too content to just keep AFK farming. They bought the Cull, 56 stacks left on it.
Yeah,
and even though Sivir has a slight CS lead, those 2 kills on the Ashe are definitely going to go a long way into being able to maintain a lead in the bot lane. And here we go, posturing yet again, trying to sneak a dragon maybe as the enemy bot lane recalls Los Pollos Hermanos. But they are aware of it. They had to break the control ward. And DMK looks like he's on his way again, and a fight might be brewing. They really want to deny the second dragon if they can, or at least make sure that D4C can't get it cleanly.
Dragon falls down to 3K, down to 2K. If Los Pollos Hermanos want this dragon, they've got to act now. And the dragon just goes over to D4C. It's a dragon apiece for the D4C team.
And another thing to mention, they have the teleport advantage in the top lane. Typhon may have been able to teleport, but Ionian Tempest would not be able to. And here we go, another fight breaking out in the top lane. The Fiora all down. And
Ionian Tempest
comes out on top.
Yeah, I mean, both players popping their ults at the same time. Such a close fight. That's exactly what you want to see from the top lane. As we see a little bit of aggressive posturing from the mid laners. Faker's Child, he Justice punches in. Lucius and Paris getting that Conquer fully stacked, but both mid laners exiting the trade, mostly healthy. Here comes DMK posturing aggressively against his bot lane. EQR onto the support. Here comes the Justice punch. That Jarvan Galio combo, and Hamsa Blue will fall. 8 kills to 3 for Los Pollos Hermanos, and almost a 2K gold lead. Here in the top lane, Typhon, again, with a significant health advantage. Like you were saying before, this is a trend. This is like maybe the 3rd or 4th time we've seen Ionian Tempest down below a quarter HP, sitting under his turret. Typhon getting the push in. As now we can take a little breather and take stock of the map. Typhon wailing away at the tower, looking to get 4 out of the 5 plates.
Yeah, and speaking of plates, if we look down in the bot lane, D4C has only lost 1 of their plates, while Los Pollos Hermanos have lost, quite a few more than that being pushed in. And so it looks like a flock of papers is just pushing their lead, and Angel Boy trying to keep up, but currently unable to. And looks like a fight is about to come up in the top lane.
Yeah, here comes DMK walking up, and Hadrain as well. I mean, Galio's coming in, And I don't know if this is necessarily a fight. Los Pollos Hermanos want to take. Ionian Tempest parried down, and there's the flash. There's the flash stun, and Ionian Tempest finally falls. It's a clean execute, and on the bot side, I mean, here comes the dive from the bot lane. Two, heal popped from a flock of papers, and she still goes down. That Ashe still goes down.
And in the meantime, we saw the top outer turret fall because of that little dive and that little skirmish that happened earlier, where Ionian Tempest went down and they lost the turret for it. But using a lot of those resources, that Galio ult, the Jax flash, as well as the Wukong ult, and that allowed them in the bot lane to make a cross map play and go for that dive.
But it looks like it's still fundamentally a little bit of a better gold trade for D4C. Getting that top turret along with the kill on Ionian Tempest, whereas the Los Pollos Hermanos just have to settle for the dive on a flock of papers. But again, like you were saying, it's that bot lane gold lead. A flock of papers getting to AFK farm just a little bit, and now Los Pollos Hermanos got the opportunity to shut it down.
And that being said, the kills may be 4 to 10, but the gold is within 1.2 thousand of each other because of the objective goal that has been had, especially from those turrets and those turret platings. So the gold's not looking too different.
Yeah, and that's sort of what we expected to see. D4C setting up for these objective fights, playing for these turrets, playing for these dragons, playing for the grubs. Where those Pollos Hermanos want to kind of play more aggressively, reflected in that 4 to 10 kill score. And as you can see in the bot lane, it's Ionian Tempest versus Faker's Child. Ionian Tempest falling a little below, takes a turret shot, falls below 25% HP again. But this time, he'll walk away totally fine. Los Pollos Hermanos posturing aggressively in the mid lane, getting that mid-wave push, establishing that prio. Oh, that Seraphine becoming visible for just a frame warns the LPH bot lane of their presence. Here comes the startup of the Rift Herald falling to 5, 6, 5K, 4K. Here comes an engage, and Humsup Low is just executed. Not a chance to continue playing. And now Los Pollos Hermanos are in control of the objective. And as they get the Rift Herald, now the objective count is now 2 for 2.
Yeah, it's looking really interesting as their gold lead has increased by just a little bit here, and they're looking to push that lead even further. Seraphine getting caught out in that fight, unable to fire off the ultimate, unable to really assist with the rest of the team, means that they simply have to back off there. But here we go, another fight breaking out in the top lane.
Yeah, Perry goes down, gets the double stun. Ionian Tempest falling very low, but manages to proc all 4 vitals as he goes down. That was so close, especially for a 2v1. But Typhon ultimately goes down. Ionian Tempest and DMK hitting the top lane turret as Shelly charges into the mid lane turret. Looks like we're getting a lot more objective control back for LPH is getting a lot more objective control back as you see Ionian Tempest pushing up to this tier 2.
It's really interesting. It seems like D4C is just getting choked out here, and especially in this sort of best of 1 format, we're not able to adapt for the next game. We really have to just push these advantages wherever we can get them. And Faker's Child, Ionian Tempest looking like they're going to meet up in the top jungle as a fight breaks out at the bot side river around this dragon.
Posturing aggressively again for this dragon. Hadrain having already popped the ultimate, not going to have that Wukong, that team fighting 4-man ult as DMK goes in and Galio ult comes in and DMK ulting away, but ultimately goes down. Looks like a flock of papers is just absolutely gliding on the Los Pollos Hermanos team, as that's a clean 2 for 1, but both junglers going down. Looks like D4C is going to secure their second Drake of the game.
Yeah, really interesting to see, despite Hadarray not having access to that Wukong ult, the Seraphine ult combined with the Galio ult was enough to keep Lucians in Paris, in the air in CC and keep him unhappy for that entire fight. And DMK losing a lot of health at the beginning using that ult to try to get some pressure and some area control, but it just wasn't enough, and he goes down as well. Being able to take control of that fight and the Chemtech Drake here, so important for D4C.
Yeah, that Chemtech Soul, especially when you, like we were saying, Los Pollos Hermanos wanting to go aggressively onto D4C. That Chemtech Soul, that damage reduction, the lower you fall, is going to play an absolutely vital role in these late game fights. Every percentage point of HP matters, and that Drake is going to prove to be so useful.
And here we go as everyone sort of resets to neutral, waiting for the next objective, trying to just claim more turrets around the map. And we see Ione and Tempest do just that in the bot lane, controlling much more space and making it that much harder for D4C to get control of these, get control of the map, get vision control around those objectives in the bot side.
And that's kind of what seems to be happening here, as Los Pobres Hermanos also get to take the top mid tier 1 maybe. Here comes the ult from Had Rain. Lulu ult pops, Seraphine ult goes wide, and nobody falls in that fight. As in the bot lane, the two top laners going back at it. Ione Tempest pops his ult, gets all 4 vitals down. Oh, flashes away from the Jack stun. And again, nobody falls. That's not the bloodshed that we were looking for, but it's these exciting fights. As DMK ults onto the Jacks, autoing into the Counter-Strike, and DMK's forced to flash out. But critically, again, nobody falls as Angel Boy manages to snipe this tier 1 tower. And towers have kind of been the name of the game so far for Los Pobres Hermanos.
And the most interesting thing is, in such a short span, so many ultimates were popped, and yet nobody died.
Right, especially with this heavy execute comp for Los Pobres Hermanos wanting to kind of ult and execute, D4C blowing all their ultimates to land these great team fights. It's a shame to see nobody died, but 20 minutes, you know what time it is, means that the Otacon has spawned up here in the top lane. You can expect, and we're going to see both teams posture so aggressively, try to take arguably the most important objective in the entire game.
And of course, considering Otacon gives your entire team a buff for the rest of the game, it's unlike any of the other neutral objectives here, and it's spawning in the top side, meaning everyone is going to reset, push out those waves, and try to meet it top side.
Yeah, and again, I want to highlight just how much work Ione and Tempest is putting in on these side lanes. First, it was the top turret. Though he was falling low into that 1v1 against Typhon, he managed to take that top turret, come bot, take the bot tier 1. And it just gives Los Pobres Hermanos so much room to play with on the map. As we see both teams posturing around the mid lane, Los Pobres Hermanos, Angel Boy, 1261 looking to push out, get that mid prio, maybe setting up for the Otacon. You can see Lucians in Paris has that Seraphine ult, that so important, that beautiful team fighting ultimate that we were talking about before. Seraphine looking for that 5-man ult. Well, our Sylas can also do it as well.
And here we go. They are posturing around the Otacon, trying to get vision control, trying to keep the other team off of it. Both teams are doing it here. Los Pobres Hermanos claiming early vision control of it, but as we see a flock of Papers and Hamsa Blue are coming in from the topside river. And it looks like no fight is going to break out just yet, but both teams are definitely looking for it, as both of the top laners are skirmishing in the bottom lane. Again, we see a difference in the TP where Typhon has it available, but Ione and Tempest does not.
And you can see Ione and Tempest walking to that red buff, maybe potentially even walking to that mid lane to get to participate in that Otacon fight. But looks like much of the same. Angel Boy, 1261, pushing out, getting that mid lane control, always threatening a rotation to the Otacon. Here.
Hamsa Blue positioning incredibly aggressively in this topside river, topside jungle, as was the case in previous fights as well, potentially even getting caught out last time, but maybe looking for a cheeky angle to ult and get a very, very high impact ultimate, stunning, 3, 4, maybe even 5 people to really turn the fight instantly. It's that sort of risk reward that really comes into play with these big, team fight comps, where is ulting one person enough? Is ulting 2 people enough? Or do we have to get the whole team? Making those decisions is very important.
You see 1261 having roamed here into the top lane, have this, Angel Boy having taken his reset, getting a little bit of vision control around the Otacon for when, D4C came to sweep it out. Now Los Pobres Hermanos coming back in. It's that vision war you were talking about before, Sarasoon, where now you see Had Rain dropping the pink ward, opting to double back and kill that stealth ward placed on the Otacon. Now, in D4C have absolutely just won this vision war, maybe potentially even looking to start the Otacon. Here comes an Assault, Wukong ult, Galio ult down, and Illusions in Paris. There's not a lot of counterplay here as he goes down, and that's the pick that D4C we're going to look for. And as you can see, they're moving to start the Otacon. Down a member, Los Pobres Hermanos, it's difficult to contest. You see DMK walking bot side, potentially looking to trade the dragon for the Otacon. It's not a favorable trade, though, for Los Pollos Hermanos.
And once again, thinking about that risk reward, you might think that it's not necessarily worth it to use 3 ultimates on a single person. But when that secures you the Atacon, because it'll turn any fight they're on into a 4v3 and even a 5v3, considering that Typhon has the teleport, it's very, very much worth it to do that. And even though they get the Chemtech Drake in exchange, it's not even, as you mentioned, Atacon very, very valuable as a neutral objective and as a buff.
But, Los Pollos Hermanos managing to get that second Drake for themselves, trade something for the Otacon. If you can't get, it's better to get something than nothing at all. And evening the Drake count at 2 apiece gives them a little bit of buffer room for, that superior team fighting, that superior back to front team fighting that we were talking about before for D4C. Gives them a little bit of a buffer, just in case D4C gets set up, maybe ahead of them at this next Drake fight. It's going to be coming up in just a few minutes.
Indeed, and we were just talking about right before that whole fight happened that D4C was definitely winning the vision war here, and immediately that pays off where Lucians in Paris didn't even see them coming and was immediately just sent to another dimension with those ultimates.
3 ultimates blown, but it doesn't matter if it secures you the Otacon. The most important, one of the biggest objectives in League of Legends that you can get on the map. Well worth it for D4C if you ask me. I would take that trade in a heartbeat.
Especially considering that they have their ultimates up because people are posturing for Baron. And here
Looks
we go,
like, speaking
Hatterene
of
using the ultimate.
Speaking of ultimates, looks like Hatterene popping his, Lucian and Paris taking the Wukong ult. Angel Boy coming for the flank. Looks like Lucian and Paris going to knock up the Wukong, knock up the Galio. Hatterene falling low. Seraphine ult comes in, stuns the Lulu, and Flock of Papers has to flash out. A lot of sums burned, and DMK looking forward, still posturing forward aggressively. Lucian's in Paris, exits out, and again, nobody falls in this fight.
A lot of resources used, a lot of summoner spells, a lot of ultimates, and yet again, no one dies, so neither team can go for that Baron. Both teams happy to take that reset there, and in the bot lane, another fight is breaking out. Both ults are down from both of these players, and Typhon has to flash away from Ionian Tempest. Just unable to fight inside of that ultimate.
A little bit of reversal from what we were seeing back in the early game. Before, it was Typhon getting a little bit of the best of Ionian Tempest, but here, look at that. The Fiora absolutely shredding the bot tier 2. A nice 700 gold injection, managing to steal that away before the Wukong and Seraphine can rotate down. And that's such a huge gold injection for your Fiora. That's so much side lane pressure. Baron is up. Ionian Tempest's TP is up. We could be seeing some great pushes being made out by this Fiora.
And both teams trying to get vision around the Baron pit right now, looking for another fight. I think if any of these teams gets a single clean pick, they're immediately going to transition into taking that Baron because they're going to get the pick right around there, and they'll want to pick up that objective for sure. Los Pollos Hermanos definitely does not want to allow D4C to continue pushing their lead with these neutral objectives, and D4C does not want to let Los Pollos Hermanos continue to push their gold lead.
Going back to a little bit of the vision fight, you saw there the supports exchanging resources. Thompsop Blue dropping his stealth ward, taking out 1261's control ward, and you can see here. Look at that in the river, 2-1, now 2-2 in the ward count. Both teams playing for the vision in this topside river. Looks like Los Pollos Hermanos might just have gotten the better of D4C in this department just for now, at least for now.
And we're looking at a little bit of a calm before the storm as everyone waits for their summoner spells and abilities to come back up. But it looks like a skirmish is breaking out in the bot side, Ionian Tempest versus Hatterene, but is able to escape.
It looks like maybe he got blast coned out by the Wukong, actually, but he wants to go right back in. See here, a little bit pinched between the Wukong and the Seraphine, but it's going to get out just totally okay. Spotted on the vision, but D4C opt not to continue moving forward. Here, Thompsop Low, again, stepping up a little bit aggressively, but 1261 going to get that deep ward near the Raptor bush as both teams start to make their way topside, and that Baron is up. You can see D4C don't have a great vision. They really have that one bush they have one ward in the bush in the river. It's a valuable ward, sure, but they're playing with so many unknowns as Thompsop Low gets caught again. And this is exactly what we're talking about. Lucian's in Paris has that Seraphine ult once more, that huge team fighting ult. Comes up low, down to 50% HP. And that was so close to disaster.
Yeah, Ionian Tempest and Typhon facing off yet again in the top lane, while the rest of the team looked at a 4v4 around the Dragon Pit as this Chemtech Drake is spawning. D4C does not want to let them get onto Soul Point and definitely will try to contest it. Both top laners have their ults.
But melting it so quickly. Here comes the ultimate from both the Ashe and the Humsop Law. Galio goes in, looking for that multi-million stun. Hadrain ERs in. A flock of papers falling so low, but the Galio ult is going to give him that much-needed magic shield. And Hadrain and Faker's Child finds the taunt to Lucian's in Paris. DMK manages to finish off the Ashe, but is going to pay for it with his life. And D4C win the fight 1v4. And as in the top side, both top laners going back at it again. And Ionian Tempest once again gets the better of Typhon. He doesn't even have to parry the counter-strike from the Jax. And that's just so much pressure, that much needed comeback for Los Pollos Hermanos.
Yeah, it's looking like these team fights aren't really going the way of D4C like they would have expected, both losing the Chemtech Drake and going even 2 for 2 when we consider that top lane, duel that happened. Maybe it's not
Faker's
really
Child.
what they were looking for, but Faker's Child going onto Ionian Tempest, getting the stun, using the Justice Fist. Ionian Tempest just absolutely shredding Faker's Child's health. And Hadrain comes in. Here comes the cavalry. No ultimate to go off of. But Ionian Tempest looks to be in a lot of trouble. I don't think 1261 can make it there in time. The Ashe ult goes wide, but is being stuck on by Hadrain, Faker's Child, and is able to escape with the help of the Lulu of 1261.
That Lulu shield offering so much defense against the rest of D4C. And Ionian Tempest once again escapes with his life just barely. And look at this. Los Pollos Hermanos, a full topside controller, absolutely just running over the D4C top lane, topside jungle. Again, that Baron still postured to potentially take it, start threatening it. Looks like they're posturing super aggressively, and look at that. Los Pollos Hermanos start up the Baron. It's down to 11k, and D4C have absolutely no vision. They have no clue that this Baron is falling. You can see it's so hard to walk in without the vision. And Los Pollos Hermanos take an absolutely free Baron.
Yeah, losing that control of the topside jungle, losing that tier 2 turret, and especially losing the vision ward in their own jungle means that they're unable to walk in. D4C can't even walk through their own jungle without, being afraid of getting jumped. And that allows Los Pollos Hermanos to take that Baron completely uncontested because of the difference in the vision.
Yeah, even though I saw the observers kind of flash the Ashe hawk shot, I'm sure the flock of papers kind of got the momentary vision onto the Baron. But again, it's just so hard to walk in when a Los Pollos Hermanos is set up first. And this Baron is going to prove, we're going to see how far Los Pollos Hermanos can push their advantage against D4C. Looks like only 2 members to D4C's 4 pushing the mid lane. Angel Boy absolutely shredding these waves and can fear poke with, it doesn't have to fear any poke because of these giant Lulu shields. Look at that, the dual lane pressure here from Ionian Tempest and the rest of LPH. Ionian Tempest starts on to the top side tier 3 as Hadrain goes in, ults, 2 ults. Ionian Tempest parries the Galio stun. And suddenly it's Angel Boy coming in, popping up Humps Up Law. That's 2 down and potentially looking for a third. Angel Boy flashes forward, manages to get the autos onto a flock of papers, and a flock of papers escapes with his life. Angel Boy going to get another, going to take down 4. And that's a 5 for 1. And that might be 8, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you want to see from your bot lane as LPH takes the game and moves up to 3rd in the standings. What a game we just witnessed there soon.
And what a game that was. D4C truly did their best with that team fighting comp, trying to take all of the fights that they could, but unfortunately they weren't able to maintain their bot lane lead and lost early game a little bit too much, and it snowballed a bit out of control for Los Pollos Hermanos. Getting those picks, especially with the top laners, that Fiora versus that Jax, being able to get all of those solo kills, and towards the end of the game, using that Baron buff to really just push in and suffocate D4C from all sides. It was
Yeah,
really a tough spot to be in. It would have taken a lot to turn it around, but unfortunately, they just didn't have it in this game.
yeah, I mean, that Fiora, I really want to highlight that topside matchup. All early game, we saw the Jax absolutely pummeling the Fiora. Observers flashed the top lane twice, 3 times, 4 times, and every single time it was Typhon at 75% HP and Ionian Tempest on 25%. But critically, they were only able to close out that kill just one time. But then you flash forward to the mid game, to the late game, it's this Fiora getting the better of the Jax, and it just allowed Los Pollos Hermanos to have so much map-wide pressure that translated into objectives all over the board, translated to kills, and in my mind, translated to a win.
Yeah, definitely. Those early skirmishes completely went in the favor of Los Pollos Hermanos, and they were able to pick up that lead. So even though there was that incredible team fighting potential with the Galio R, with the Seraphine R, with the Wukong R, it just wasn't enough to overcome their lead. And especially looking at that Fiora towards the late game, Ionian Tempest, that staying power was so incredible with the
Yeah,
Tabbies and with the Death's Dance.
I mean,
Because if
yeah,
we notice, most of the damage dealers of D4C were doing AD, attack damage. The Jax, the Wukong, and the Ashe.
yeah, and it just let Los Pollos Hermanos sort of run over this game. But what a game it was!
What a game it was. And so, with the results of this game, how are the standings looking?
It looks like LPH is going to move up to 3-2, taking move up to 2-2, taking that third place spot. LPH is going to move to 3-2 in the standings, taking that second place spot in the Poro group. D4C going to fall to 1-3, tied for SKT for that 5th position. And what a momentous game this was. Again, we highlighted, like, this was both teams had the potential to move into top 3 in the standings, but it's ultimately Los Pollos Hermanos that comes out on top.
Yeah, well, thankfully for us and all of our viewers, it was an entertaining game to watch, a real bloodbath, a lot of fights going on, a lot of action. But of course, as that was a best of one match, that is all we have for you today. So as Los Pollos Hermanos goes home with that winner chicken dinner, we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.